You have been requesting this for a long time, and I finally found 3 stories that take place during school lockdowns. It was a typical Friday afternoon in calculus class, the last period of the week. Everyone was getting antsy as spring break approached. Unlike many of my friends, we didn't have a test that day. Our laid-back teacher decided to play games with us on Sporkle.com. While we were doing a brand logo quiz, I remember the exact moment everything changed. Just after my friend answered a question, Adidas, the dean's voice crackled through the loudspeaker. He sounded panicked and instructed all teachers to go into lockdown. I felt chills run down my spine as our usually relaxed teacher hurried to turn off the lights and ushered us into the back corner of the room. We sat in silence for about 2 minutes until the buzzing from a panel in the back of the room stopped, indicating that the school had cut all power. We exchanged worried glances, realizing the seriousness of the situation. A few minutes later, we heard a man screaming at the top of his lungs in the hallway. 2 girls in our class began to cry, heightening our fear. As the screaming drew closer, we heard the man banging on lockers, shouting, "I'll kill all of you." At that moment, I truly feared for my life. Our teacher shushed us, and we looked around at each other, trying to gauge our peers' reactions. The banging moved from the lockers to our classroom door, prompting one of the crying girls to scream, "No!" The pounding intensified as the man yelled, "Open up!" Now 2 girls were crying loudly. It felt like an eternity of banging, but eventually the man continued down the hallway, his screams fading away. About 10 minutes later, though it felt like half an hour, the dean returned to the loudspeaker to explain the situation. He informed us that a mentally unstable man had entered the building and assaulted the woman at the front desk, causing her to flee in terror. Staff were unsure if the man was armed. At that time, our school lacked security cameras and proper security measures, leaving us vulnerable. The staff conducted a sweep of the hallways and classrooms but couldn't find him. The dean instructed teachers to resume class while keeping all doors locked and not allowing any students to leave. The most disturbing part was that a janitor later found the man sleeping in a storage closet at the back of the school. Rumors circulated among students that he had a .44 Magnum in his pocket. The janitor must have startled him, perhaps by leaving the closet door open, because by the time police arrived, the man was gone. To this day, my entire class remains unaware if he was ever found, but I hope he is receiving the help he needs. My school had 2 lunch periods, the first for all 6th graders and some 7th graders, and the second for the rest of the 7th graders and all 8th graders. The lockdown occurred in early October on an overcast, rainy day. During the first lunch period, I heard 4 loud booms. Initially, I thought it was thunder, but the crowd erupted in screams. I dismissed the panic as overreactions, but campus security rushed in, ordering everyone to the multipurpose room. Those in line for lunch had to discard their meals and enter the room. A large group of us gathered inside, curious about what was happening. The multipurpose room was spacious, with a back wall made of glass. As we were ushered in, security covered the glass with curtains and stationed adults at every exit. My friend Eric, eager for information, asked one of the adults what was going on. When he returned, he said, "You know those houses in front of TMS? There's a mentally unstable man barricaded in front of his house, threatening to commit suicide and kill the police if he's evicted. He's been watching kids in a creepy way." To make matters worse, we learned that the man was a registered sex offender. We remained in the multi-purpose room for an hour, taking up 2 periods. Once the situation was resolved, we were escorted back to our classrooms one by one. Later, I discovered that the man lived next to my friend Brandy, who told me about a previous Halloween when she saw him at his window, cutting his arm and writing, "Don't come here or I'll kill you," in his own blood. At the time, people, including Brandy, assumed it was a Halloween prank. After this incident, however, we understood the severity of his mental state and were relieved he never approached us. Now, at 22 years old and fresh out of college, I have a job as a computer intern at my old high school. The school basement is messy and disorganized, but it has a small, well-equipped office with 3 desks, 2 mini fridges, a flat-screen TV, and air conditioning, a luxury for students and teachers. I got the job thanks to my 3 old computer teachers who genuinely liked me and helped me secure this position. Everything was going well until a few weeks ago. While I was enjoying my lunch alone in the office, my 2 co-workers, Dave and Gary, were upstairs. I received a phone call from a woman in the front office, warning me that the school was on lockdown due to an armed intruder. With no door to my office and the basement door lacking a working lock, I turned off the lights for my safety. I texted Dave and Gary, but they didn't respond. Sitting in the dark, I played games on my phone for about 20 minutes, waiting for further instructions. Suddenly, I heard the basement door creak open. My heart raced as footsteps approached my office, and I instinctively crawled under my desk. Someone entered the office without turning on the lights, and a chilling silence ensued. I felt paralyzed by fear, convinced that making any noise could cost me my life. Just then, my phone dinged with a text message. I froze, terrified. The footsteps drew closer, and in a moment of desperation, I dove out from under the desk, begging for my life. A man in a red plaid shirt and hat grabbed my arm and pulled me up. "It's okay," he said. "I'm just hiding down here with you. What's going on up there?" I whispered my question, but he ignored it and asked if there was an exit. I pointed to a door, but before he could move, I asked, "Who are you?" He hesitated before explaining that he had come to pick up his son when a teacher told him to hide. After he spoke, I checked my phone and saw a message from Dave. "Dude, this is insane. Some guy with a gun shot Mr. Buckley. He's wearing a red shirt and hat. Whatever you do, don't come upstairs." My heart sank as I realized the man in front of me matched the description. Panic surged through me, and I bolted for the stairs. A gunshot rang out in the basement, and I heard a bullet ricochet off something metallic. Miraculously, I escaped unharmed and made it upstairs, where police were waiting at all exits, including the basement. Fortunately, Mr. Buckley survived the gunshot. It was later revealed that he had some unknown conflict with the assailant, but the details were never disclosed. All we knew was that Mr. Buckley's actions couldn't have warranted such a violent reaction. The sound of that gunshot will forever echo in my mind.